In the annals of American history, few figures are as enigmatic or as controversial as John Tyler, a man who ascended to the highest office in the land only to be cast out by his own party, a president who, in his final act, would make a choice so shocking it would forever stain his legacy. This is the story of the only U.S. president to betray his country. Born in 1790 to a wealthy Virginia plantation family, John Tyler was groomed for politics from an early age. His father, a close friend of Thomas Jefferson, instilled in him a deep reverence for states' rights, a belief that would one day shape the fate of a nation. By the age of 21, Tyler was already in the Virginia legislature. By 30, he was a U.S. senator, and by 1840, he stood on the precipice of the presidency, though not in the way anyone expected. The Whigs, desperate to unseat the formidable Andrew Jackson, chose war hero William Henry Harrison as their nominee, and for vice president, they needed a Southern balance, a man like John Tyler. But no one could have predicted what came next. 1 month into his presidency, Harrison was dead. A sudden illness, likely pneumonia, struck him down, and just like that, John Tyler, the man nobody truly wanted in the White House, became the 10th president of the United States. The Whigs had assumed Tyler would be a puppet, but they were wrong. He vetoed their bills, defied their leadership, and within months, his entire cabinet resigned in protest. The party that brought him to power now abandoned him. Branded his accidency, Tyler became a president without a party. But his greatest betrayal was yet to come, because when the nation fractured, when brother turned against brother, John Tyler would make a choice that history would never forget. March 4th, 1861, Abraham Lincoln takes the oath of office as the 16th president of a fractured United States. 7 states have already seceded. War looms on the horizon, and in Richmond, Virginia, a former president watches with growing fury. John Tyler had spent years in political exile. The man they called his accidency had become a ghost in his own country. But now, as the nation teetered on collapse, he saw his chance for redemption or revenge. When Virginia called a convention to debate secession, Tyler came not as a peacemaker, but as a rebel. "The time for talk is over," he thundered. "The North means to enslave us all." His words ignited the room. After weeks of debate, Virginia voted to secede, the crucial state that would make the Confederacy a true threat. And Tyler, he didn't just support them, he joined them. By summer 1861, the man who once led the United States was helping govern its mortal enemy. While other former presidents pleaded for peace, Tyler raised troops against his old nation. But history moves in cruel circles. Just as the war reached full fury, Tyler fell ill. On January 18, 1862, with Union victories mounting, the renegade president took his last breath in a Confederate capital under a rebel flag. Washington's response? Silence. No official mourning. No presidential honors. Just a quiet note in the records. John Tyler, 10th president of the United States, died a traitor. But the most shocking twist? His legacy would haunt America for 160 years and counting. John Tyler was buried in Richmond's Hollywood Cemetery, not among America's presidents, but alongside Confederate generals. His grave became a shrine and a battleground. For over a century, his memory was weaponized. The Lost Cause mythmakers enshrined him as a martyr. Civil rights activists damned him as a white supremacist. But the most shocking truth lay buried in his living descendants. Because John Tyler's sons fathered children into the 20th century, men alive today, right now, walk among us as a former U.S. president's grandsons, and some still proudly defend his cause. This isn't ancient history. The blood of a Confederate president still flows through modern America, and the debate over his legacy is tearing this country apart. When rioters stormed the U.S. Capitol in 2021, they carried the same symbols Tyler died defending. The rebellion he helped start never truly ended. So who gets to claim John Tyler? The nation he betrayed? The cause he championed? Or the generations still fighting the war he helped begin? One final question remains. What do we do with a traitor's memory? In this sacred space where America honors its leaders, one pedestal remains conspicuously empty. No statue, no plaque, not even a name. This void belongs to John Tyler, the only U.S. president officially erased from the nation's memory. For 160 years, America has wrestled with an impossible question. How does a nation memorialize a leader who tried to destroy it? Some some places have tried. Virginia restored his portrait, but only alongside a disclaimer calling his Confederate service treasonous. The White House includes him in official records, but offers no memorial. Even his beloved College of William and Mary, where he studied law, refused to name a building after him until 2020, and even then, only with an exhibit detailing his defense of slavery. At Tyler's own plantation, guides stumble through a carefully choreographed dance, mentioning his 70 enslaved people only when pressed, while emphasizing his charm and political courage. It's America's uncomfortable compromise in microcosm. Acknowledge the evil, but don't let it overshadow the great man. Other founding fathers with slaveholding pasts, Jefferson, Washington, Madison, have undergone public reckoning, but Tyler, he exists in purgatory, too late to be forgiven as a product of his time, too early to be fully condemned by history. As America's racial reckoning accelerates, Tyler's ghost haunts every debate. When we argue about removing Confederate statues, about renaming military bases, about how to teach slavery in schools, we're still fighting the Civil War he helped start. Perhaps this void is the perfect memorial after all. Not a celebration, not a condemnation, just silence. A nation still unable to reconcile with the president who loved his state more than his country. John Tyler's story doesn't end in 1862. It lives on in every protest, every textbook debate, every uncomfortable tour through a plantation house. He remains America's unfinished business, a warning etched in history about what happens when loyalty to place outweighs loyalty to principle. If you were captivated by the haunting story of John Tyler, consider subscribing to If the Past Unfolded. For more deep dives into history's most controversial figures, we don't just recount events, we resurrect them with cinematic storytelling, meticulous research, and unflinching honesty. Every subscription helps us continue uncovering the buried truths of our past. So click that button below, ring the bell, and join us as we peel back the layers of history, one astonishing story at a time.